This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is December the 20th. It's a Tuesday, 2022. Just 11 days left for this year. Can't believe that we're seeing this year slip away so fast. Christmas coming up on Sunday. Coming up in today's show, we're going to be talking with Mike Kavanaugh. He's a director of product development with AgReliant Genetics. He was talked to him at a recent Tar Spot Summit. We'll get to hear the words from him and what he had to say. We'll also take a look at that ag weather outlook. But first, let's run down those markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at the end of another trading day, and it's time to talk to Bill Biedermann of agmarket.net. Bill, what did we see in those grain markets today?
Well, we saw a slight change in the weather forecast, Dustin, and boy, that just got the market off to a 20-cent start in the soybeans with a little bit less rain than expected. The quote-unquote is it's not going to be a drought buster, but about 0.3 to 1.5 inches in northern and central Argentina, but the southern part of Argentina remains dry, and of course, 1.5 inches is not a drought buster. So the market responded to that very quickly right out of the gate and then went sideways the rest of the day. There was also news about the Japan central bank actually increasing rates. Now they've been the sole steady Eddie in the Western and developed nation world that has not raised rates. So today's action that they did raise rates to, or they raised the cap to 0.5%, that was an indication that they may start following suit between the West and the developed nations' fiscal policy towards deflation. That, of course, made their yen go up a lot because of a higher rate on return on bonds. And it also caused their stock market to fall about 700 points. But as a result of their currency move, our dollar went down very hard today. And that also helped with the commodity price increase here at home.
So for our producers that are listening, I mean, what obviously you said the yen being moved down like that and being the change in the cap, what is that going to mean for the open market, if Japan's looking to buy more stuff or we're looking to sell?
Yeah, that would mean that like if they're wanting to buy our corn market at $6.52 in US dollars, and it would take X amount of yen to buy that, today it would take less yen to do that. So our grains just became cheaper to them, even though the price didn't change. And so our price adjusts to that and says, hey, wait a minute, we've only got a 30-day supply of corn. We can't be giving this away on a blue light special. And so the traders at home put a little value back onto our market.
Now, following up also on that Argentina thing, like you said, there's some rain coming, not a drought buster, but they also said following behind that might be some cooler than normal temperatures. That certainly will help reduce some of the stress on that crop, won't it?
That's true. And of course, central and southern Argentina is cooler than northern. So, there's a lot of debate on the size of the crop. There was a private forecaster that came out today that said the Brazilian corn crop got reduced to 125 and that the Argentine crop was only going to be 47 million metric tons compared to the 55 that USDA is predicting. Our numbers aren't that low yet, Jesse. I mean, we think we got a few more weeks we need to get through in order to do those kind of adjustments. But if that's true, that would mean that the South American total combined corn crop is only 172 million metric tons, just slightly above last year's 167 million metric ton. And with the stocks of corn being down to a 30-day supply here at home, it's going to be difficult if the world production cycle fails to really see a big increase in supply, in which case that could force some buyers here at home. And then that'll mean that our domestic buyers are competing for that 30-day supply. And, it could get really crazy really fast if everybody's chasing that same bushel out there. So we'll just have to see. But really, in order to resolve the supply situation that we're dealing with in corn and oilseeds, grains and oilseeds, we really need to have two good production cycles, one down in South America and one here at home.
All right, now moving over to the livestock side of things, especially as we look at cattle, it doesn't affect hogs as much, but still does. And we're looking at a really big cold snap across the center of the United States. I mean, you're talking sub-zero wind chills in Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, what does that do? What kind of pressure does that put on the cattle market?
Well, we'll have to see how that turns out. If we have sustained winds and a lot of drifting, it's going to be a big problem for these cattle. We'll definitely set them back and shut them down. And you got to restart them, and that takes time and it takes money. And it just messes everything up on your marketing cycle. So we'll just have to see how that all works out. I think that is going to, when you're a bear, you say, well, that just backs up livestock. So down the road, it's negative. But when you're a bull, you go, yeah, but you're going to have a lot of messed up lightweight cattle. And we're already dealing with a supply problem. So in reality, it's a buy the dip market. It's been like that for a long time. We haven't made new highs. We've been able to take out 157. But if you look at the lows all the way going back to the beginning of this last year, each time we come down, our lows are just a smidge higher than the previous low. That's true for October, November, and even December. So there's good buyers on breaks, Jesse, and that's probably going to continue to be that way all the way into the first quarter of the year.
All right, and so what did we see in the hog markets today as well, and how they traded?
So the hog markets, they're a little bit more difficult to assess, in my opinion, because it seems like sometimes the hog market doesn't trade the way the cash market feels. So just looking at it from a technical standpoint, we've been trending down the last few days. We had a really good rally, and that went up and filled a gap on the chart, but it really didn't change anything, and the trend is still basically down. So we would suspect that the market does have the potential to come back down to where it was last week. And even there is a chance that we could go all the way down into the holiday season and fill that gap that was left on the charts in October when we put in that spike low bottom. We'll have to see, just give it some time. But mostly I believe that the hog market is way more chart influenced than it is fundamentals.
Well, definitely gotten a lot of news for both grain and livestock here and how those markets could react in the coming days, especially with the holiday, and the trading schedule being a little bit lighter. What should producers, both livestock, grains, what should they be thinking about if they want to make sure that they're not missing out on potential or making sure they're protected from any losses coming up here through the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, you've done a real good job in helping people think, flexibility is the key. And we believe that that's the case now. So like on cattle and hogs, you can put in a floor. It's going to cost you $1 or $2 to put in a floor in these markets, and that'll protect you in case that for instance, the Chinese economy starts to sour real bad because maybe the COVID contagion gets way worse than what people think. That would protect you from that kind of a surprise, which that would have an impact on U.S. economics also, and that would put pressure on the market. On the other hand, if we see the supply problems, and especially in the cattle, cause these markets to move higher, or if we see that South American crop get more drought adverse, these markets would explode. That would keep the upside open for you, and that's what we suggest. If you want to take advantage of the $15 bean price that we're pushing towards, do it. You're going to get the best return on investment you or your father have probably ever had farming. But maybe you spend 10 or 15 or 20 cents on an option and just keep that upside open just in case, and you're keeping yourself flexible.
All right, Bill. Well, if folks want to talk some of those strategies with the folks at agmarket.net, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
I would say go to that website, agmarket.net, and you can either give us a call from there, you can email somebody, you can sign up for our free research. You can even sign up for our conference on February 6th, where we're going to have some speakers from around the world that are really, really sharp people, and they'll be able to lay out a plan for you for the next 12 months.
All right. Well, Bill, thank you so much for the insight, and we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Okay. Thanks, Dustin.
That again was Bill Biedermann of agmarket.net. Let's run down the closing numbers courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. March corn up 4 3/4 at 6.52 even. May up 4 at 6.52 even as well. December 23 new crop up a penny at 5.96 1/4. January beans up 17 3/4 at 14.78 1/2. November is up 8 1/2 at 13.89 1/2. Soy meal up $3.20 at $4.49.30 per ton. Soy oil up $1.40 at $64.81. Chicago wheat for May up 3/4 cent at $7.57 Minneapolis wheat up 5.5 before the close at $9.08 even. Kansas wheat up 3 1/4 at $8.40 3/4. Oats for May up 3 cents at $3.35 3/4. February live cattle were down 47 cents at $155.57. January feeders up $1.52 at $183.62. Lean hogs for February $1.45 lower at $84.25. Pork cutouts down 48 cents at $87.22. Class 3 milk down 2 cents at $20.51. And that's been our ag market recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, Mark Magnuson will talk with Mike Kavanaugh, Director of Product Development for AgReliant Genetics. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Recently, Mark was attending a Tar Spot Summit, and he had the chance to talk with Mike Kavanaugh. He is the Director of Product Development for AgReliant Genetics about some of the new things that they are working on. And here's what they had to talk about.
Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined by Mike Kavanaugh today. He is with AgReliant. And Mike, you are at a Tar Spot Summit today. Could you tell us where you are and what you guys are talking about today?
Yeah, Mark. So we're at the headquarters, AgReliant headquarters here at Westfield, Indiana, and a very action-packed 24 hours here. Yesterday we kicked off with a survey that was taken by AgReliant Genetics. Christy Totenbush, she basically went through the results of, farmer concerns, what they do and don't know or understand about tar spot, and that was very dynamic in itself. Then we kind of went through a farmer panel yesterday. I led that panel and just talked about real farm experiences, the farm gate experience dealing with tar spot, and how some of these farmers are trying to figure out management strategies and beat this pest out in their fields. Of course, this morning we just got done listening to a group of researchers from Purdue, Michigan State, and Wisconsin, and they did an excellent job just really highlighting what the disease is, how it grows, how it spreads, where it came from, and the different mechanisms they're trying to put together to track the disease, and even some apps that they're trying to build that actually models out, the prevalence of tar spot out in growers' fields. So we've got the rest of the day here. We've got our research team, AgReliant research team, is going to be here talking about, the whole piece of developing tolerant hybrids to tar spot, and how the rating system that takes place, and the germplasm that goes into these products behind the scenes. And, then we'll hear from Missy Bauer. She's a third-party crop consultant up in Michigan. And she's going to show a lot of the results and some of the strategies that's worked for her and some of the growers she works with up in kind of the epicenter of where tar spot began there in 2017. So that's pretty much what is taking place here at the summit. So pretty exciting.
So Mike, back to that last point you made, just kind of where tar spot started. From what I understand, it was to the east of us here in Iowa. It was the other I states, Indiana, Illinois. And then, like you said, it was up into Michigan and Wisconsin. Is that really where we first started to see tar spot heavily?
Yeah, of course, in the United States, yes. That's, of course, it actually began in the South and in other countries. But in the U.S., yes, started seeing it in northern Indiana, Michigan, northern Illinois, Wisconsin, just right there around kind of Lake Michigan area. And now it's moved further south. It's really followed the river between the Indiana Illinois line, and of course it's just quickly moving west. And we've got some data we're going to show today, just some ratings that we took there in Stanley, Iowa. And Stanley is right there, as you know, kind of eastern Iowa. And, you know, it's pretty amazing the prevalence and the pressure that we're seeing, you know, across a lot of these different fields and different plots.
Now, getting down to brass tacks, Mike, why is it important to fight tar spot? What is the danger? What are we looking at as far as yield loss?
Well, you know, just like any disease, I mean, you know, in the West, we've talked about Goss's wilt for years. In the South, we've been talking about southern rust. And now in the central Corn Belt, we've got a disease that is very aggressive. And we just heard from Damon Smith out of Wisconsin. He calls it a polycyclic pathogen, which means that it has, you know, basically a couple of life cycles, and you know, it just grows so rapidly, and whenever it infests, it infests very fast. So whether you're looking on the front end of the plant's life cycle, or specifically the back end, whenever grain fill is being made, you know, just the last 2 weeks, you can have 20 to 25% yield that is still being made in the grain fill process. So when you have an aggressive disease like tar spot move in at that point in time, yield loss can be astronomical. It can be anywhere from 20, 30, 40, up to 60 or 70 bushel yield loss, depending on how wet the conditions were during incubation, and you know, what those environmental factors are. So that's why it's such a hot topic. You know, growers just can't afford to have you know, that kind of hiccup in the operation. You know, need to figure out ways to combat this disease.
Now, the good news is, and something you touched on a little bit there, yes, you can apply that fungicide early in the plant's growth cycle, but if you miss that window for whatever reason, you can still apply late on, and that's going to save you then quite a few bushels if it works effectively.
That's yeah, that's a lot of truth to that. A lot of the data really points to fungicide use being very effective. Of course, we really believe it's a systems approach, and you know, that's one thing I'm going to be talking about today, you know, really highlighting our agronomy teams with AgReliant, you know, whether it's our AgriGold agronomy teams or our LG agronomy teams, our brands, working with farmers and really coming up with a systematic, holistic approach. And, you know, what we're finding is it starts with, you know, to combat tar spot, it starts with genetics first. That's the bottom line. Start with genetics first. Start with a product that has good tolerance. Start with a product that you know, has the other characteristics that are needed within that specific geography that a farmer may covet or desire. You know, whenever he's putting this portfolio together, but also make sure that we've got good fertility plans, make sure we've got good fungicide programs. The fungicide programs that we're seeing, it's not a one time or one size catches all. It is one of those things that the more we learn here at the summit, and that's the beautiful thing about the summit, we're all learning together, and we're talking about experiences, and we're finding that you know, it may take several applications to really beat a tar spot.
And Mike, do you think we're going to see a continued spread here in the state of Iowa? Will it be similar to what we saw this year? Is it going to be even maybe a little bit more, or do we just have to wait and see what the weather conditions are going to be like if we have the right factors for tar spot to, I guess, spread even more widespread next year?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's all speculation, really, at this point in time. However, just with looking at history, I think it would be fair to say that it will continue to move west. I think it will continue to move south. And, hopefully it's not something that is an epidemic in, 3 to 5 years across the country. But at the growth rate it's going right now, you could certainly speculate that it is going to be farther west and further south and further east as we go into next year or coming years. But definitely, the cooler, wetter seasons, the environmental factors will definitely influence and dictate the severity.
Mike, is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa farmers, our Iowa viewers know about when it comes to tar spot and kind of what AgReliant is working on to fight back against it?
Yeah, definitely. It's, we're a seed company and seed only. And when we wake up every day, we're thinking about seed, and we're thinking about, that farm gate need and what our customers need to be successful. We've got global germplasm that we're utilizing in our AgReliant research pipeline. And we're trying to maximize that and bring something that is very beneficial and different and unique to our customers and to our farmers. And not only that, just bringing the genetics and bringing the right genetics for the right areas and the right geographies that meet our growers' needs. So, if I had to summarize that up, I just hope growers feel like that AgReliant is definitely on the cutting edge of tar spot.
He is Mike Kavanaugh with AgReliant. He's at a tar spot summit today in Indiana. Mike, thank you so much for the time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That again was Mike Kavanaugh of AgReliant Genetics. Let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, right now it is sunny and pretty mild here in Des Moines, maybe just a little to the cool side, but nothing like it's going to get for the next couple of days. In fact, tomorrow we start a winter storm watch where we're going to see some bitter cold moving. In fact, bitter cold, as we talked with Bill Biedermann, that will stretch all the way down into some below zero temps into places like Texas and Oklahoma. So it's really going to be a whole center of the United States kind of mess. But then, of course, we're also going to get snow and high winds, talking blizzard conditions. It's really going to hit the fan coming up here in the next few days. What does the National Weather Service say for the next 24 hours? Well, let's take a look.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, we have a mostly sunny sky around the state of Iowa today, but it is very cold, increasing clouds throughout the day. We have some wind chill temperatures already in the negative range here today, but highs today as far as actual air temperature 7 to 26. Tonight, partly cloudy and very cold once again. We will have temperatures ranging as low as 7 below zero to 10 degrees above zero around the state of Iowa tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, and then it is the leading edge of this winter storm that we've been hearing about a lot over the past few days. Mostly cloudy, and then a chance for wintry mix and snow beginning tomorrow here in the state of Iowa. A little bit warmer temperatures as we will have highs around the state in the 14 to 28 degree range. Turning our attention now to our affiliate weather map for tomorrow. Cherokee will be at a high temperature around 14. Cloudy skies with a chance for some snowfall tomorrow. Shenandoah, 27 degrees. Also with cloudy skies and some chances for wintry mix and snow on Wednesday. In Des Moines, similar story, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy tomorrow and chances for some snow. And then looking at the eastern portion of the state, Albia at 28 degrees tomorrow, partly cloudy. Waterloo, 22 and partly cloudy with snow chances. And Clinton, 27 and partly cloudy tomorrow.
And that's been our ag weather outlook. For more detailed forecasts in your area, especially during this winter storm situation, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliates. And that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you're notified every time we put out a new video. You can also check out our free twice daily market podcasts on Google, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Mark Magnuson and Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.